You are listening to WRPI Troy, the Upstate Underground, home of Joe, home of Wacky, and of course, home of Blunky. We have a very special, I would say, event, you could call it. Now, we have the band E.R.I.E in here for a little interview, talk a little bit about themselves, and talk about their newest album that has just come out. So to start out with a little bit, do you all want to go around and introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Levi Jennis. I play the bass in the band.
I'm Chad Flewelling and play drums.
Matt Delgado, play guitar.
TJ Foster, and I sing and play guitar as well.
Thank you. Why don't you tell listeners a little bit about how do you guys meet? How do you guys form E.R.I.E?
Wow, well, it goes back to just before the pandemic times, and TJ had a health scare and a little bit of a muse hit him, right? And he had not been
crisis.
Existential crisis, a muse. He hadn't been playing rock and roll in a full band in a minute, and he wrote a bunch of beautiful songs, and sent them to a bunch of us in process, and we all got pretty stoked on them. And once the album was finished, we got together in a room. We found Chad and started playing the tunes and had a couple rehearsals and set up an album release show just in time for the world to shut down. So that was the genesis of this band.
Nice. Can you tell me a little bit about why the name E.R.I.E?
Yeah, so that's actually it was named for my two daughters. The initials E.R.I.E are the last two letters of each of their names. I've recently actually just had a baby a few months ago, or well, my wife did. And her nickname is actually Dot, and so she gets all the periods now, and everyone's covered, and no one's gonna hold it against me when I'm older. So, yeah,
that's good. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about your musical backgrounds, and maybe a little bit about how you got into each of the different parts that you are in the band?
Sure. I'll start off. So I actually started off as a guitar player, and I went to school for guitar, and then way back in the day, I was moved in with a roommate, and his cousin needed a bass player for their band, and bass is not radically different than guitar, just a couple less strings in general. They're a little bit bigger. So I ended up learning that band's songs and joining that band, and I've pretty much been playing bass as close to professionally as you can right now, as I can call my career, for about since then. So I've just been bouncing around from a few different bands over the few years, and then when TJ and Matt were looking for a bass player, they had approached me about it, and I learned the album, and I joined the band, and that's we're here today. That's how it goes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I have ADHD, and I've been hitting everything since I was very, very young. And so everybody said to me, "Are you a drummer? Do you play drums?" And I was like, no. But then I had a friend who got into band at like 5th grade, and he lived down the street from me, and so he would teach me everything he was learning, and I'd play his set like every day. And then I think I was probably 15 when I got my first set, and I just played nonstop every day and have been doing it since. So been doing it for most of my life now. So
Yeah, I came in 3rd grade, took an instrument in school, and it was the violin, and started playing the violin at about 8 years old, and continued with that right through graduating from Oneonta a while ago now. But turning 14, 15, obviously you start getting into a little bit of a different thing, and picked up a guitar and never looked back. I've been playing guitar ever since, and E.R.I.E is the culmination of all those hours and hours and hours of practice.
Somewhat similarly, when I was younger, I was a baseball player. I enjoyed playing baseball until I realized that I was far less athletic than everyone I was playing with, and eventually hit my limit of being able to actually play, and started getting really into music, and then kind of guitar became my obsession as well. For about, 15, 20 years now. Also been very resistant to things like, therapy and taking care of your own mental health. So writing songs became kind of my like cathartic outlet. that's just kind of really how I express myself. And E.R.I.E is just kind of the next iteration of that. And getting to play with these guys is just incredible. It's inspiring, and it's awesome.
It's way more fun to take out issues on a guitar than it is to actually introspectively process them anyway.
Yeah, right.
You know, I love that. I love hearing about, like, you know, how dealing with mental health issues by, like, you know, expressing that musically. I remember I had done, like, an interview with someone who did, like, a lot of art pieces to really express their like discomfort with how society was, and it was really just inspiring and really nice, you know, instead of just like bottling it up, really like let everyone know what's happening and try to like express that more to yourself.
That sounds exactly like kind of the themes of our album. Actually,
that sounds really familiar.
We should get in touch with this person. Yeah,
Nailed it. Maybe paint some pictures for us.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about the different bands and artists that inspire your sound?
Oh boy,
it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It's a real mixed bag, which I think is awesome. We've answered this question a few times lately, and it's really cool to kind of talk about how we all come from kind of different musical backgrounds, but like kind of our nice like through line is we're all really into very like earnest music, you know, songs that clearly come from the heart and kind of have that really organic, raw sound, themes about them as well. You know, for me personally, definitely what kind of got me into the guitar was really just wanting to, you know, wear my guitar as low as I could and play Blink-182 songs, right? So it was kind of that spirit. And then as I got older, I got more into like things like post rock and indie rock and folk and this and that. So I'm kind of like a mixed bag. But in this band, I kind of wanted to go back to the spirit of playing those like fast and loose like punk songs. And it's not necessarily like what our band always sounds like, but I think the spirit is there. And yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Matt now.
Yeah, I mean, a pretty vast and varied sound that originates in the late 90s and spreads through the early 2000s, you know, in the alternative scene, you know, everything from, you know, things like Third Eye Blind, I know those guys were just around here, to a lot of things that came into what is, air quotes here, dubbed emo, whether it's second, third, fourth wave, you know, starting with, you know, Jawbreaker and that era of stuff coming out of New York City, and Jade Tree Records out of Delaware, and those guys, and then going over to the Midwest stuff, and, you know, the use of a combination of power chords and then hammer-ons and pull-offs, and that's just, it vibrates my brain in the right way.
No, all right. So my stock answer for this question is I love Rush, all right, which is not a shock. I'm a bass player. However, your question, which I appreciate, is slightly different, is like, how does it go into this band? And I don't think I play my bass like Geddy Lee in this band, and I think that's perfectly fine. These are not prog rock tour de forces. And the other thing that I really like is just supporting the song, maybe throwing in something that's cool for a little bit, but like, you know, making sure that there's room for everything else in there, which is how Rush operates, but not in the way you'd think, because obviously it's very progressive rock and they're doing all these crazy things, but it makes sense, it works. So how Rush influences this is I have a very punchy bass tone at the moment, not totally like thunderous Geddy Lee, but it's getting there, and that's, I think, where that influence kind of shines through. But I mean, I personally listen to musically omnivorous. I listen to pretty much I'll give anything a fair shot, and then there's always something you can take away from that. You know, recently I've been listening to a lot of pop songs and trying to figure out how to play those on the bass, like weird stuff like Dua Lipa and things that are well beyond, like, I'm way too old for that stuff, but it has really cool bass lines. I'm like, all right, well, let's see if I can play this cleanly. I don't know, you know. So things that like challenge me as a player and as a musician are the things I definitely gravitate towards. But they're all, songs that are very earnest and very well constructed and like have a message and kind of resonate with you. Those are the things that, you know, I really like as a musician, and that's, I think, where we all come together as a band.
I've been listening to, same as Levi said, just big, vast majority of genres, and everything that I listen to just kind of brings into it. You know, grew up on like country and got into 90s hip hop, and then I got into the rock stuff like TJ and Matt were alluding to. So it's kind of all over the place.
I love that. We at WRPI really like diverse things. I would say one of the main things that a lot of us say is we listen to basically everything. And I'm sure if you've listened, we play basically everything.
Yes,
so
true.
It's really nice to hear that you guys have a lot of wide inspiration that you take into this. So we're going to do a two-parter question. Start with the easier question to prepare you for the harder one.
Ooh, all right.
Do you want to describe your sound to the listeners?
No. Next question.
Oh, that's going to make the next question really hard.
That was the easy part, TJ. That was the one we should have answered.
It was a very easy answer. I've been told not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I lovingly refer to us as imagine Tom Petty wearing Dickies shorts and a studded belt. That's kind of my stock answer, but it's a terrible answer. So I'm gonna let someone else take over.
It's indie rock, and there's a lot of influences, the broad range of influence that we've spoken about that pull in other elements of that. But at its heart, it's heartfelt indie rock.
Yeah, I don't think we sonically have rewritten any rules. Like we just want to get together and play these songs the best we can with like the best sound, right? And I mean, it's Telecasters with P90s or
Accurate.
a Reverend with
Reverend.
with single coils going into some tube amps. It's classic things that have worked for 60 years, so we're probably not going to change it up too much, but maybe we will. Who knows? It's still going to sound like us.
Exactly.
Are you guys ready for the hard question then?
No.
So,
Absolutely.
Shoot.
Bring it. Let's go.
Okay. Your job is now to pitch the band. You get, like a 60-second sell. I will tell you is that if I don't like your pitch, you guys just get out of here. We're just not doing the interview anymore.
We should just stand up now.
All right.
Do you want a little bit of time to think this over, maybe talk it out before you have your 60 seconds of heaven or hell?
Yeah. I think we need a minute to prepare.
I operate best when I just ramble, man. You know me. I don't know.
Or that. Cool.
Okay. I don't know. What do you think?
Do it. Just do it.
No, just do it. Oh man.
Do it.
Well, now I got to think now because you guys put me on the spot.
All
All right, let's go. What? Go ahead. No, chime in. Open dialogue here. Let's go.
Well, we're a rock and roll band. We have fun. We write good songs that mean a lot to all of us. We care about what we do. We have fun while we're doing it. And we try to make everyone watching us have a good time.
Yeah, you're going to have a good time coming to a show. That's darn
we're
sure.
We're very energetic. I am kind of like Animal when I play drums. Like I go a little crazy and it gets loud and we have a good time. You're not going to come watch us play and not leave with a smile on your face. It's impossible.
It's a collaborative effort. There's some crowd participation moments in our set too.
And lyrically, we're very we can be very cynical, but also very humorous. We kind of like to dwell on that. Our main lyric from our album is "Oh well, we're all dying anyway." So it's very uplifting stuff, but it's also, like I said, humorous, fun.
Amusingly cathartic.
Yeah,
Amusingly cathartic and positively cynical. I don't know. Optimistically cynical. I mean, it's the music itself is it's pretty high energy, pretty bouncy, but the lyrics are it's cynical.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I would rate this pitch about a 2.3.
Yeah, solid.
We're doing
solid
a really good job.
Hold on.
It sounds great.
I think I got it. We are cynical like Steely Dan, okay?
Okay.
But with the musical sensibilities of the Gaslight Anthem. We are the Gaslight Dans. That's what
The
new name.
gaslight dance.
Verbal trademark.
We got there.
This is quality radio, folks. You're welcome.
Nothing less from WRPI. I'll probably rate that, a 5. You guys went longer than 60 seconds.
yeah.
I believe it.
We are ramblers.
Yeah. Except I think I'll let you guys continue a little bit longer.
that's fair.
I think that was good enough. The listeners, though, will have to determine if maybe they want to check you guys out a little bit more.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think they probably turned this off a while ago.
Sorry for bringing your ratings down.
Look,
man.
You
That's our
cannot
fault.
bring down the ratings of WRPI. You can only increase them. And that is a guarantee.
See, this is the perfect venue for us. This is it. It's only up from here.
Now, let's start with the very big question. Tell us about your newest album, Suburban Mayhem.
Yeah, it came out, 12 hours ago?
About 12 hours ago.
12 hours
13,
ago.
13 hours ago.
It is, I was thinking back today, and the first song that was written for this record was actually back in fall of 2020. So it's been something that's been on our mind for a few years now. We did bulk of the recording all through last year. It was all self-recorded in my garage, my basement, and the songs just really feel and sound like us. And what I mean by that is that the first record, again, as Matt alluded to before, was something that I had written and recorded kind of all on my own, and then found the band afterwards. And this time around, it was obviously an entirely group collaborative effort, where, yes, I kind of came in with the songs, I presented them to everyone, but those were just the bones. And they took on a whole new life once, Matt got his guitar stuff in there, and Levi and Chad got the rhythmic aspect in there. And it's been really incredible to see these take on the life that they did. For me, I'm just extremely proud of what has come out of that, for sure.
Yeah, it was just such an again, we've mentioned cathartic nature of the record. It really was cathartic from an existential point of view. I mean, this project and this product and this adventure has got me through the last couple of years. So it's just the I don't get proud of a lot of stuff that I do, but I'm daggone proud of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna just echo that. I am insanely proud of this record. It's the most fun I've ever had making art, and it's the most fun I've ever had presenting art. It's just this is a very, very fun time.
I think what was really fascinating about this process was, a lot of times we were used to making a record in whatever our past lives, where basically you'd go into the studio and you would kind of do everything in one shot, right? And this isn't the traditional path, because we worked on it over time. I mean, TJ had a baby being born and all sorts of stuff. So we did it in fits and starts, but we kept the progression, we kept momentum going. And what was really cool is, I think for each one of us, there was a different song that maybe for them personally wasn't like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, I don't know how it's going to work. Maybe, we had a bunch of stuff on the table, right? And somebody would come up with a part and you'd be like, oh my God, and it changed the whole trajectory of what we were doing. Like, Oh Well is a really good example, where it started life as one thing, and it's not too far off from where it started, but like, we made some really cool arrangements that really like tied everything together. Like, yeah, this is it. This is the one, so. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but
yeah,
100%, I agree.
And we're really focusing on how we felt in this, because it really was almost like a band therapy process. Yeah. but we think a lot of the themes on the album are thoughts and themes that will resonate with people.
Yeah.
So that's our ask, is just give it a shot and see if you find something you like in there.
Love that. I think it was like at midnight. It probably was like 12:06 when I noticed that it came out and really enjoyed it. That's a little lie though, because I had some of your stuff ahead of time. Just like decided to wait for it to release on Spotify first, truly like experience it with the rest of the listeners.
That's awesome.
And everyone.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how Suburban Mayhem is either like similar or different from your first album, Don't Want to Live, Don't Want to Die?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, just in the nature of how it was recorded, we touched on that a little bit, in the sense that it was definitely more of a collaborative full band effort. But thematically, Matt alluded to, I Don't Want to Live, Don't Want to Die really came out of a pretty crazy health scare that I had. I ended up in the hospital near the end of 2018 with a heart issue, and became a very, very young man with a pacemaker, which is not something I was obviously expecting. So that record really came out of a lot of those physical health issues, but also the mental health issues. And I think coming into this record, it was like, I don't want to make that same record again, right? I've sung about all that stuff and processed it, to some extent. For this record, it was really focusing. Obviously, it was being written during a time when the entire world was shut down and kind of in turmoil for one reason or 18 others,
Many.
Right? Yeah. So it was really, we didn't want to go in and say, okay, this is a pandemic record, right? Because no one wants to hear that at this point. But it was really hard not to sing about some of the things that were going on. So we tried to approach them in a very kind of overarching manner, that wasn't like, beating you to death with it, right? But also like acknowledging the fact that, hey, this is stuff everyone's going through currently. It'd be kind of disingenuous not to acknowledge that.
I would like to also remind listeners that you are listening to WRPI Troy, the Upstate Underground. Sorry about that. Would you like to continue?
Get that legal.
You're good.
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah. Unless
Any
someone
other-
else wants to take on. Yeah.
Nah, you nailed it.
Yeah, that's
There's
All right, then. You want to talk about a little bit more like the process of creating the newest album? You know, like maybe like from start to finish. I know that you said that it first started in like 2020, so and now it's like 3 years later.
Yeah, it's
so.
weird. Yeah.
yeah. Share drives are a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I started demoing songs for this record back then, but you know, even though the earliest one wasn't that far, but most of them came to kind of fruition in 2021. And as Levi kind of hinted at, we sort of recorded this in waves more than a big long process. Just with how kind of life is for us as, you know, grown-ups.
Jobs,
Jobs,
kids.
Right.
responsibilities.
we kind of made a conscious effort to make sure that it was going to be an enjoyable process for everyone. So whereas, you know, normally you'd go into a studio and we'd take a couple days and hammer out drums and stuff, we didn't have necessarily the luxury of doing that. So we wanted to make sure Chad stuck around, and so we weren't like, okay, Chad, go record 15 songs in my garage in one day. We split it up. I think we ended up doing like 3 sessions where we kind of took a chunk, like 5 songs each session, hammered those out, worked on those, and then kind of proceeded from there. So there was definitely a little bit of almost puzzle piecing there, which I think is kind of cool from a sonic aspect, where we have these you know, different drum sounds on different songs because of the nature of, okay, some we recorded in the winter, some we recorded in the summer. I feel like I'm getting very into the weeds here, but anyway, go ahead. Thank you.
And that process, the ability to take that time, it was almost a function of the time, right? Because when we started working on these songs, there were still shutdowns and the pandemic was still pretty full swing. So we didn't have the luxury of sitting in a room with the 4 of us and hashing out parts. So we took what the universe had given us and said, okay, well, here's the bones, put it in the share drive, and everyone got to work on their parts. And I think that added an element of intentionality to how we wrote and how we arranged and how we put things together. So it was a function of the world around us, but I think we worked it to our benefit.
And it you know, something new would pop up in the drive and a new mix, and that would sometimes spark somebody to like, oh, you know what? I'm going to revamp my part a little bit so I can make this let this part shine a little bit more. So I agree 100% with the intentionality. I think it helped our listening skills.
Yeah,
sure.
it was good not having those firm deadlines
Yeah.
too. Like, okay, if something isn't working, if we're not feeling like the song, let's just move on to the next song and revisit it when we have kind of clearer heads and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Definitely made it more fun to do it in that process.
yeah.
And Chad, I think you said it best previously. These are the way these songs sound are the way that they're supposed to sound.
Yep.
We didn't have to cut corners. They're the best iterations of the songs.
You know, I think an unsung part of this is TJ has a really good audio engineering background, right? Like a minor from.
And some really good gear.
Yeah, and like we made some really smart investments collectively in our gear. I mean, we all upgraded amps and drums and all sorts of stuff. But the fact that really good studio gear is affordable now for like us, where we could actually do these things at home, whereas before you'd have to actually go to a studio and to get these kind of results is awesome.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I assume that you probably guys all enjoyed doing it like with this drive setup. Do you think for your next album, hopefully there's a next album, would like to hear a lot more from you guys.
Oh, we still have some more in the can. That
Yeah.
hasn't
Oh,
come out.
yeah.
I'm
There's
so
at
excited.
least 7 or 8 that didn't make this record. So.
Right.
Oh, and now you're just tugging on my heartstrings right now, just waiting. Do you guys think that you're going to be continuing to do this like big drive setup up for making the next album, where like you have that drive collective and then do it like that, or do you think you're all going to come together and do it like you did with the first album?
I think it'll probably be a hybrid. Again, adults with jobs and kids and stuff. It's hard to get 4 adults in a room for any reason, let alone a recreational one. But so I think there will always be an element of utilizing time wisely when we do get together. But I think we've started to see it. There's a little bit more jamming that happens naturally when we get
Yeah.
together. So
Yeah.
I think there's going to be more of that.
as a songwriter, these guys will attest to the fact that I write a lot of stuff, and I just really, for me, like, that's I've said this before, but my kind of skill set really happens at the very beginning and the very end of the process, where songwriting just kind of comes naturally to me, but kind of building on things like in the whole middle process is not my strong suit. And so to Matt's like put me in a room and ask me to jam something, I'm lost. I'm just totally lost. I'm like, okay, I'll just play this little note and put a bunch of reverb on it and it'll sound okay, I guess. But like that's not how my brain works. I kind of need like that, okay, song starts here, song ends here, and then we'll tweak some of the stuff in between and figure it out together.
That was a big argument point while we were making this record, because I'm the complete opposite. I work better with jamming, and like I'll start playing and I don't necessarily think about what I'm gonna do. Things just sort of happen.
Yeah.
So we'll be playing and jamming and recording along, like on our phones or whatever we can, just to get somewhat of semblance of what we had out of there. So there were like a few times where we got together and did that, and that really, really helped elevate my parts. So then I was able to bring it in when we had the recording spots. So
yeah, it was definitely a new experience for me, because this is the first time we've all worked together in this fashion. And to Levi's point, like I've been doing this a while, and my brain works in a very specific way, and it's not great for creative things because it's like muscle memory at this point, but it's like it's just kind of how I work. And but yeah, there were times when Chad would come in and he'd be like, okay, I know this song, I know the parts, but I don't really have a ton, and be like, okay, just play something. And so we started playing, and then all of a sudden we had like, okay, here's the structure of the song, here are the bones, and it came together like on the fly. So I think we totally steered off of the question, but
that is totally fine.
But what we're gonna do the next time is we're gonna rent a house in Malibu for 6 months. And
Yes.
we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna hang
Yep.
out, we'll jam, and then we'll do the record. We'll be that rich at that point in time where we could do that.
is MTV Cribs still a thing?
Yes.
we're gonna get
Exhibit's
so
gonna
many
come in. He's
Exhibit's
gonna
gonna
pimp out a ride. Actually, that's a joke, but
Start up a new WRPI radio host show that's just like, hey, WRPI Cribs with you guys.
Yes.
Please have a field agent go out, record some stuff for you, send it back to the listeners.
I love that. Yeah.
We're here for it.
Yeah, we're here for it.
Now we're going to do another hard question.
Okay.
You know, sprinkle a little easy stuff before the really hard one. You know, this one's a little hard because, you know, the family man will be able to explain this. It's like picking your favorite child. So I'll phrase it a little bit different. What's your favorite, or maybe the song that you most want people to listen to with the new album?
are you, like individually? Which,
Yeah,
okay,
individually.
all right.
Or maybe if you wanted to talk about a specific part in certain songs.
I think if you want a good introduction to us and this record, a single that we released a few weeks ago called Bad Man's World is probably the place to start. I think that kind of encapsulates everything about us musically and even from a performance aspect. It's very upbeat and energetic, and it's got kind of that cynical, sarcastic look at the world that is really present through a lot of these songs, but like turned up to 10 on this one. And specifically, if you can, check out the music video because we had a blast making that. We all played these really awful caricatures of
People who really exist.
of people of men who really exist. No spoilers here, but it starts off with Chad imitating slinging soup in a bag like Mike Lindell. So it's a little tease for you, but yeah, I'd say if you're looking for that kind of introduction, Bad Man's World is really the song to start with. In terms of like songs that are kind of like my favorite, it varies, which I know is an awful answer, but at the moment it would probably be the last song, the title track, Suburban Mayhem, with something in parentheses I can't say on the radio. But it really is it's an ode to growing up in the suburban Connecticut pop punk scene that I grew up in, and it goes as far as I even went back and I lifted a riff from a song that I wrote when I was 15 years old, and wrote a song around it. And I'm just really happy. I think lyrically it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's upbeat, and I'm really into that one at the moment.
It's the thesis of the album, and it the culmination of that song encapsulates a few different thematic elements that we've covered, not only on this album, but the one before it as well. So there's some pretty cool callbacks on it. That's a fun song. I think my favorite, it changes on the day. I think Suburban Mayhem might be my favorite today, too.
My favorite, well, not my favorite, but the one I'm most proud of because of its construction and what it became versus what it was is Picture of You, because I had nothing when I started this. Like, that was the one that was always the hardest. Not the hardest, it was every time I would sit down to work on it, it was something different and nothing was concrete, and I would think something was a good part, or I would think something fit, and then I would listen back to what I had worked on, and I was like, this isn't it. So I pretty much sat down when I recorded that track and had zero clue what was going to happen.
I think you said to me about 3 times, you're like, let's just scrap this song.
Let's
just scrap this. I'm like, no.
I was like, no, I don't want this one. This is bad. But what it became and the energy and the way that my parts flow in that song is something that I'm incredibly proud of, and I hope everyone enjoys it.
For me, it's the penultimate song, The Motions.
Penultimate.
Sleeper.
Right. That was one that we weren't. Again, it's weird. It was like one we weren't sure about, right? And at some point, I got a cut with Chad's drums, and I was like sitting in my room. I did a couple bass tracks at my house, and I did, I think, like 6 takes, and for whatever reason, every take was good, at least in my opinion. I was like, I just had fun doing it. I'm like, I don't want to stop playing this. I had this cool tone, like gritty tone from a distortion pedal that's made by a local area.
Thanks, Poison Noises.
Yeah, I don't know if we can do that, but yeah, it's a great pedal, the Crook, if anybody's heard of it. But it was just like, I had a cool tone. It worked. Everything I played worked with what Chad was doing, and it was like, then we ended up doing this cool gang vocal thing at the end, and I don't know. It is like the sleeper. I'm excited for people to hear that one, because I know we've played it out a couple times, and that one's gotten a pretty good
it might be my favorite to play.
Yeah,
that's a fun one.
That was my, like, what Picture of You was for Chad. That was for me. I was like, I'm like, I wasn't feeling it, and it's definitely one of my favorites to play. And my mom texted me this morning. She was like, "This is my favorite song." And I was like, "Really?" It's like the kind of the heaviest, kind of darkest one.
Right.
But
and that's the other thing too. It's like
rock and roll.
I didn't
Mom.
realize what it was about until like after you talked about it. I was like, "Oh, okay, this." Yeah. Well, it's still whatever.
Yeah.
I like cynical things, so it makes sense.
Love it. My favorite song, in case if any of the listeners and you guys are interested,
we're
very,
interested for
very,
sure.
is Bad Man's World.
Thank you.
Mostly because of the lyric, I should have kissed more boys, I should have kissed more girls.
Yes.
I relate to that too much.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
So, with this album, you have worked with the Dream Pop trio Alma. That's how they're...
Yeah,
and
yep.
Who are probably on their way up here right now because they're playing with us tonight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And fellow Albany area songwriter Sydney Worthley, our beloved here at WRPI.
Oh, awesome.
You know what they say, the best way to an individual's heart is through chocolate. And she did send chocolate.
Oh, yes. Oh, we saw that.
I remember when that
She's A+.
I think I texted her when I saw the video. I was like, dude, you just totally upped the ante for everyone else. Thanks a lot. And we had no time to prepare anything nearly as cool, but that's all right.
Yeah, the standard for local area artists has just been like pushed up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Leo's her secret weapon. Leo, her guitarist, does a whole bunch of like fabrication of stuff, and those guys knock it out of the park every time.
It's great.
So do you guys want to talk a little bit about what it was like working with them on the album?
Yeah, it was, talking about our favorite song, like these are 2 of my favorite songs as well, because I don't do a lot of, or historically I haven't done a lot of like collaborating with other like singers and songwriters and stuff, and just kind of hearing someone else's take on like a song that, its genesis was something that I wrote, was awesome. But I first got tuned into Alma back at the end of 2021, where I actually I write for a magazine, and I interviewed them, fell in love with their music, and was able to chat with them. And it was like I knew them forever, and we kind of stayed in touch, showed them our music and vice versa. And so we ended up playing a couple shows together last year. Really connected, became friendly with them, and we've just kind of, you know, chatted and kept in touch ever since. And so on the song Little Heartbreak, I kind of knew that. I was kind of nervous. I was like, but I want to ask them to sing on it. And I was like, you know, would you mind? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. And a few weeks later, I got these insanely gorgeous harmonies and all this crazy vocal work. And the song just like, you know, it went to a whole nother level. So it was really awesome working with them. They are like professional musicians. Like they score films and stuff.
Like real day job musicians.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So getting their parts, it was like all these like very professionally written. Like you could tell like they thought out like what note in the chord needed to be where. And I'm like, I don't think like this. This is incredible. I love it. So I think I learned a lot from that as well. And then working with Sydney was kind of a similar story where I'm only speaking for myself here, but I was always a fan of her work. She put out a record in 2021, I think, an EP, and I just loved it. Had fantastic songwriting. She's got a killer voice, and so when we were lucky enough to play with her as well, again we connected instantly. There was like that mutual respect from like a songwriting standpoint, from a performing standpoint. And I was like, you know, would you sing on a song on a record? And she was like, absolutely. So I kind of had to go find one. And we ended up with World is on Fire, which my vocal range in that song is a lot lower than most of the other ones, so it needed that kind of brighter element. And kind of sent it to her, a demo of it. And she ran with it. She was sort of the opposite of Alma, where she sent me about 62 takes of crazy vocal stuff. I mean, there's so much gold in there. Like it all couldn't work together. There was just too much. So one day I'm going to kind of go back and almost rearrange it and make a totally different version of the song with different parts. It was insane, but she did an incredible job.
But the amount of stuff she sent, because I remember hopping down, I think I was recording Little Heartbreak when you had gotten that stuff, and the amount of stuff that she sent allowed you to cook up just such a beautiful arrangement of that song.
Yeah.
So the ingredients that she prepared were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like it was just a Def Leppard level of stacked vocals. It was insane. It was
and again, it's just like seeing all that. Like it's not how my brain works
Right.
from a production standpoint, from a vocal standpoint. Like I don't think like that. So seeing all this stuff here and hearing what she was hearing, I'm like, oh my God, I've never. And honestly, more than anything, that actually inspired some of the background vocals in the motions that I ended up throwing in there, because I was like, nothing was working. And I was like, okay, well, what if I approach it kind of like Sydney, where there's a lot of like different like little flares, and there's not really like direct harmonies. There's like echoes. There's weird stuff in the background, and that really helped a lot. I just kind of thought about that, but yeah.
I actually listening to that on the way over, because it's out live in the world now. Like there is a ton of cool vocal stuff and the motions. Like, how are we actually going to pull some of this stuff off live, right? We already got the meat and potatoes, but like, yeah, we got to.
Yeah, World is on Fire is weird to play now.
Without her, yeah.
Because we love that version of that song so much, and what she brings to it helps give it its own life. It's a whole different song with her on there.
As you can see, we're very good about gushing about other artists that we like and admire, much more than gushing about ourselves.
That being said, for all the listeners in the world, we do a very great job playing World on Fire without Sydney. Which is,
You can hear it tonight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to like channel your inner Phoebe Bridgers every time that you play World is on Fire?
It's absolutely what goes through my head.
Yes.
One of us will do a little falsetto part in the beginning, and it's great.
It's funny you bring up Phoebe Bridgers. That's actually like the bonding artist that Sydney and I had.
Really?
Like we played together and we enjoyed playing together, but then afterwards we kind of just discovered that we both were massive fans of Phoebe Bridgers. And I played a show, actually accompanied her at a show back in March, and she was doing like a solo thing. So I kind of helped her out with some guitar and some harmonies. And she told a story on stage similar to that, and she was like, I was so excited to finally meet another Phoebe Bridgers fan. And I was like, yeah, same. It was awesome.
I remember when we got rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
And the first thing that one of our members said was, "Oh, this is just like Phoebe Bridgers," and we all like acknowledged, like, yeah.
And the new stuff is even more down that road too. But yeah, it's great. That's funny.
Now let's probably a very fun question. Although you guys were a little bit separated, do you have any fun behind the scenes stories about making the album, or maybe some fun little stories between the four of you guys from like 2020 to now during the process?
Oh boy.
My favorite or not my favorite thing, but a very funny thing was the amount of coffee I drank.
Fresh pots.
During the first drum tracking session, which was in, I think, February.
Yep.
And it was very cold. So I was just like, I would come in, get a little bit of coffee, go out, like, play for 15 minutes, come back in, like, drink more coffee. So by the end of the day, I was this like jittery, hyper mess, and I still somehow stayed on the click all day, and it was very fun. So that's my funny story of production.
Oh man.
For me, we did last year we did like a little short weekend jaunt down to New Jersey and New York City, and I ended up doing the bass line for World on Fire in our Airbnb that was like very slanted. It was not well constructed whatsoever. I mean, it was a nice place though. It was good, but I did that in like, I don't know, maybe like 4 takes early in the morning before we had to go drive out to Philly to do a gig.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing I was reflecting on this earlier was, we try and make use as best use as possible of little pockets of time that we can find together. And so when we do things like, okay, we're going to go play a couple shows out of town, we'll do a weekend. It's not just a couple shows. It's like, okay, when we're in our downtime, we're going to wake up, we're going to record a little song, we're going to go record this or film this video or do this. And by the end of it, we're like, God, why are we so tired? It's like, oh, because we did 8 things in the span of like 48 hours. And I love that because it just kind of brings us all together. We have like the same common goal, and we just work really hard, and then we go home and we wake up 6 hours later, and then we have kids jumping on us. I think one of the I'm trying to think of like a cool little behind the scenes story, but usually I'm so just like my eyes are so glazed over by the end of a recording session that I can't process anything that has just happened. But I really liked near the very end of the process, I think the last thing we threw in was Matt kind of had this awesome idea of, hey, what if we throw in like some sound bites like from our kids in the title track? There's just like kind of empty sort of breathable space there that really called for it. And so we went and found some stuff, and I found like these crazy videos on my phone of my daughter. Like I think she was like running around in a playground or something and screaming like a banshee, and it's kind of like buried in there. And then Matt found this clip of his kids playing in like a pile of leaves, and he sent me some sorting through stuff, and all of a sudden I hear his daughter say something like they're playing like they're on like a different planet or something, and she says something like this world is not
safe. We must go back.
We must go back. And I was like, I just got chills. I was like, if that's not like the thesis for like this album, I'm like, I don't know what is. So we had to sneak that in there at the very end. Spoiler alert, whatever, I don't care. But that was just
it's out now. We can talk about it.
We can talk about it, exactly. I was just like, oh my God, like kid, you're what, 9 years old, right?
It's there's no dark side of the moon. It's all very dark. That's it.
there's no light side of the moon. It's
or
all
that's it. Yeah, whatever. I should know better.
Yeah, I think it's just the amount of appreciation that we have for the pockets of time like that's been alluded to that we get together, and it's like we get to pretend and make believe. It's like adults make believing. It's like our version of what the kids are doing in the leaf pile. It's like, hey, we get to go play and
we get to go play music. Yeah.
and just the ability and kind of the hive mind that we all have. We're all very similar people in a lot of aspects and in the same stage of life, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Amazing. We're now going to switch a little bit of gears. You guys have talked too much about the album. No more talking about the album.
That's fine.
All right.
Maybe a little bit more. So, if you could perform with any artist, past, present. I would also say future, but we don't know any future artists right now. Maybe. What would it be?
My favorite band is Death Cab for Cutie. I would love to play a show with those guys at some point. And I think I'll have to also say Taylor Swift, because there's just no bigger, more insane crowd. And, I mean, playing in front of that many people would probably be pretty surreal.
I'm going to go really non-traditional here, and I'm going to say J.S. Bach and the era of Brandenburg concertos. That is the golden age of music.
Dude, that was the most hipster answer I've ever heard. I liked music before it was cool, guys.
It's funny because I actually had not an argument, but a discussion about Bach last night with my wife. Like, Atlas, my son, was talking about, he was playing something on his tablet, and it was like a tritone, and I was explaining to him like tritones and like back in the 1500s, like if you played a tritone, you were put to the stake, basically. And I was like, thanks a lot, Bach. And Chris was like, why don't you like Bach? I'm like, well, I just don't. He's not my favorite composer. I prefer. There's just too
What
many
are you,
rules.
a Handel guy? Come on.
Beethoven. I mean,
Okay, fair.
But
Now we're really putting everyone to sleep.
yeah. Anyway, it's funny. It's funny. It's not funny.
I think this is a very hard question, first of all. So good job on that. I guess I would probably say during the pandemic, I had the distinct pleasure of taking a drum lesson with Zach from Jimmy Eat World over Zoom. And they've been one of my favorite bands for a very long time. He's been one of my favorite drummers for a very long time. So that is my answer. I would play with Jimmy Eat World and just have the best day ever.
Hell yeah. Oh.
That's a good one.
Love that. Now, what is your guys' favorite song to perform live?
Yeah, it's Motions for me right now.
Bad Man's World.
It's a toss-up between Motions or Bad Man's World.
All right, I'm gonna go non-traditional. I think it might be Fireworks, but that's because it's pretty bass-centric. So
Quite bass heavy.
And you've been able to put your own spin on that
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we kind of rearranged it from the way it is on the album.
yeah.
Now, what are your guys' favorite moments playing live?
Matt and I do this really stupid choreographed thing in the middle of Can't Stop Running where we have like a harmonizing kind of quick guitar solo.
It's a guitar-mini.
It's a guitar-mini, and we both kind of look at each other and raise our guitars and we play. And it's about 3 seconds of music, but I always get a big smile on my face and usually miss the beginning of the next lyric because of it.
Same. Yeah. No, I'm late to that first chord after that, too. That's one of my favorite moments.
I think for me, it would probably be when we would play Fireworks and Life Death back to back, because it's 10 minutes of me basically just running and every extremity is just going 100 miles an hour, and it's a good workout, so I enjoy it.
Jeez. Honestly, I don't know if there's a. I like all the moments we play because they're all fun.
That's also
Yeah.
true.
I currently like the most right now is when we're playing Bad Man's World. It's a pretty, it's a nonstop tour de force until we get to the bridge, and it goes into like not quite a halftime feel, but it like slows down for just a minute. It's all like quarter notes, and it's very cool. I like that moment, but all the other moments are great too. So I can't pick just whatever. That's the closest I got.
Nice.
Now, I wouldn't say like least favorite. I'd say probably like what has been like the most interesting moment with you guys performing, either like bad or maybe something that you didn't expect to happen while you were playing live.
So last year, this is when we met Sydney and played with Alma for the first time. And so we did a Friday night and a Saturday with Alma on both shows. And the Friday night was at this place called...
The Parlor.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. So yeah, Parlor. And it was like, we drove down to what city was it in?
New Paltz.
In New Paltz. And we get there and we're like, we have no idea what we're expecting. And it's just like this small room with like a couple couches and a chair and like a million books in it. And just looking around the room, and I'm like, there's no room to even breathe. Like, how are we going to play a set here? So that was probably the funniest.
It was a, to be honest though, it was a sold out crowd. I mean, there was six people in that room.
we did sell
You
out.
could not fit any more. And yeah, it had just been subjected to a flood or something.
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
like, I don't know how organized it probably was to begin with, but like everything was stacked like, I don't know if you've seen
Off the
anything
floor,
like
yeah.
hoarders, but that's what it looked like. It was just stuff.
There was just stuff
Piles
everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was gonna like knock a bunch of things over if I moved the wrong way. Like it was very, very weird.
It was very, and I think that's one of the things that like Alma and us bonded over
Yeah.
immediately too, because we were just like, what the heck?
Yeah, we went and dropped our stuff off and then went to dinner and we're like, all right, so this is the thing.
And they played first, and it was very appropriate for that room. They have like
Yeah.
these angelic harmonies. It's a very acoustic set, and it was great. And then we get up there and we're like, well, we have to make a whole bunch of noise now, and this room is way too small for this.
But that was an experience. I
was an
wouldn't call it
experience.
bad.
Yeah.
It was just an adventure.
It was something that prompted us to think about, all right, what kind of gear would we need for like small gigs, right? Because we're not gonna play Lark Hall all the time, so we got some gear that was kind of like pared down for a little bit more of a
All of us got smaller things except for Levi.
I got a smaller amp. I got a smaller.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
The little guy, and then I got the big guy. It's fine. It's fine.
Do you guys have a plan for if you play another small gig, like a different set list of songs to more like match the room?
Yeah, we definitely factor room in. I mean, we factor in whatever the heck we want to do. But then if it's, if it's a small room like that, we're probably not playing certain songs.
Yeah,
We're definitely making some conscious choices there.
it's nice now that we have a whole another record out that we can kind of make those decisions. Whereas like just having the first record and a couple of new songs out, you got to fill a certain amount of time. There's only so many songs you can cut. But now it's like, it's gonna be a lot easier to kind of make decisions like that. And I think that's good.
Love that. So, very big question now.
All right.
What is next for E.R.I.E?
Well, tonight we are celebrating this release. We're going to be at Lost and Found down in Albany for a party with, as we said, Alma, and then another local band called Seas Atlantis that we're friends with. So really just kind of looking forward to that, hoping it kind of all goes over, well. And we're just really looking forward to having a good time, hanging out with some friends and playing some music. So it's going to be a really, really good night. We have a bunch of shows coming up. We've started kind of booking these little weekend tours away as well. We were lucky enough to be nominated for an Eddie's Award on April 30th they hosted in Schenectady, right?
Yeah,
Rockers.
So very much looking forward to kind of being in that room, surrounded by friends and peers and people we admire and people who are way more talented and good looking than we are. And what else?
We've got like you're saying, we're starting to book out of town shows. Looking forward to this summer. We've got a pretty fun July on the books. June's also gonna be fun. We're gonna go out to Western New York and be around in the Albany area as well. But just play as many shows as we can, promote the heck out of this record, enjoy playing as much as we can, and now it's time to start working on the next one.
Yeah, this one's out, so it's we got another drive folder that we got to start cracking.
We can worry about that tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Nope. I'm starting a new email, so we have a new drive coming. Let's go.
So excited. I'm going to be... when you guys finally release it, I'm going to have like an entire day of it. Probably like re-listen to everything that you've done, played on the radio again. Ask you guys to come back.
We'll come back anytime.
We'll be here.
So I want to ask, how excited are you guys for being nominated for the Rock Pop Artist of the Year?
Very
surreal, especially when you look at all of the other people
that list is, I can't even believe we're on that list. So it's going to be really, really great to congratulate whoever wins, because it's not going to be us.
Awesome.
But it's going to be really fun to celebrate everyone and give everyone the accolades they deserve, because I've said this before, but this is a very special scene in this area. There's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of people who care and support each other and show up, and it's not like this everywhere. I've lived around a lot of places, and this is a very special area, and so to even be on that list is just a huge honor.
I know that the one that I am very excited for is Sydney. Sorry, I won't be rooting for you guys.
Fine.
I think we're probably
rooting for her as well.
To be fair, I think she's nominated for 3 awards, so you can root for us.
She's gonna get them all.
Yeah, exactly. Hat trick, 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I love you guys having talking with a bunch of different artists. I know what I've been doing is trying to talk with a lot of local artists in the area, get them here. I know Troy back in the day used to be, have a bunch of bands come in from all across. For one reason or another, we can't say on air. But it's really nice to see you guys, because a lot of the local artists in the area have a very broad music taste. There isn't a Troy, New York, or Albany sound that is very specific. It's very broad, and there's a lot of different things, a lot to love. So love that you guys do that.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, it's really cool to be around here, and we're just really happy you had us in. So
Yeah.
thank you.
So, listeners might be a little interested about you guys. I'm not sure how much.
Me either, especially after this. Yeah.
I think we did all right.
Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing great.
Yeah.
Would you like to plug a little bit? Tell listeners if they're interested in you, maybe want to learn a little bit more about what you guys do. Maybe listen to, especially your new album. What could they do?
Well, we're on all the digital streamers, which is the key, I think, these days, right? So whether whatever service you subscribe to, we're on it. We have tangible recorded CDs / coasters that we will gladly either send or drop off to you if you buy one of those. We've got vinyl. You can find us online at a band called E.R.I.E.com. I think that's our handle on everything.
Yeah,
right?
all our socials are a band called E.R.I.E. It is Bandcamp Friday. So
Bandcamp Friday. How could we forget?
it's a great time to pick up the record if you're interested in it. But the band called E.R.I.E.bandcamp.com.
And just a note, anything you buy on a Bandcamp Friday from any artist,
That's
whether
true.
they're local here or elsewhere, is massively beneficial to that artist on the first Friday of every month.
Yes, and special treat if you do come out to the show tonight and pick up the record in person. I will personally give you Matt's phone number. You can text him anytime. He'll listen to anything.
Yeah.
You want to tell him.
Sure.
He's a really good guy. So
I'm also giving out free high fives.
Free high
High
fives,
fives,
yeah.
hugs.
Oh, I'm gonna have to take one of those.
Fist bumps.
Now, before we get into the extra special part of this interview, do you guys have anything else you would like to tell listeners before we end?
Thank you for listening to
Yeah.
this and
Yeah.
to our record. And thank you
for having
Yeah.
us.
for
Yeah,
chatting with
Everybody,
us.
everyone here has been great, and we're very thankful to get some support.
And thank you to WRPI for doing all of this.
This,
Yeah.
yeah,
For
this
us as well as our contemporaries
is
here in the
wild.
scene.
It's wild down here. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you all have enjoyed the basement of the Daring Communications Center. Probably a little bit hard to get to us, especially when you don't have card access and you've never been on to the RPI campus.
We knew the special knockout front. It was fine.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool as for basement as basements go. So
I can't remember.
basement fan.
I don't think I ever saw our college radio station, but I
It
feel
was
like,
about 1/5 the size of this.
I was
so-
going to say this seems a lot nicer and more
Yeah.
thorough. So
Yeah.
kudos.
Both for us specifically, a lot of different rooms, hold a lot of vinyl in here.
Yeah.
Hopefully get some bands in our live studio eventually. So,
Absolutely.
nice.
Give us a call. We'll be there.
Yeah.
all right. Are you all ready for the speed round?
Let's go.
Speed round. All
hopefully.
right.
Okay, I will be giving out points. I won't tell you how many points you need to pass.
Okay. I know it's collective or individual?
Let's say collective.
Collective.
Okay.
Okay.
Lovely.
Okay, so this is a team sport. Ready?
Okay.
Weezer, yay or nay?
Yay.
I'm sorry.
Depends. Hold on. I'm gonna break from this. Depends what era Weezer. I like about 40% of Weezer.
I'm sorry, that's -3 points.
Okay. All right.
What was the right answer? Was it nay?
It was nay.
Okay.
My name's still Jonas. You can't change me.
If you said the Blue Album, I'd say, yeah.
That's
I was
no.
going
So
with Pinkerton, but
I didn't. I stopped at the green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, not that I stopped, but like I don't.
wait, you're saying they have stuff after the green?
They do.
I mean, I know it exists.
I think there's
Okay,
a
so
red and
I
orange,
didn't
a
dive
white, a
into
black.
it.
I don't know.
There's like spring, summer, fall,
Gratitude.
winter.
Come on.
Oh,
Hooray.
Ratatouille's okay.
Oh, the
Yeah.
seasons. Yeah, that was not good. That was not good. Weezer.
I didn't listen to it though, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Man, I
Because
hope our
the Blue
buddy
Song
Jordan
still
is
rips.
listening to this.
Okay, next question.
Okay, next.
Radiohead, yay or nay?
Yay.
Nay. No. Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry, I don't get Radiohead. So this is funny. I just watched this interview with Boy Genius where they did something similar where you had to rank something if it was underrated or overrated. And Phoebe was the complete opposite of the other two. Every single question. And I feel very much like Phoebe now. So
I think you just need to go back and listen to the Bends, and everything will be fine.
I love the Bends, and I love the Bends because of you. Because when I worked for you, you played the Bends all the time. I was like, this record. I was like, who is it? You're like, Radiohead. I was like, oh, cool. I like a Radiohead album. Awesome. Okay. Anyway, move on.
welcome.
It's supposed to be a speed round, TJ. Stop talking.
This one's a hard one. How many states should the U.S. have?
States 50.
How many states should the U.S.
Should.
have?
Oh, should or does?
Should.
Oh,
Should.
I was like, I'm smarter in the first grade.
I would go with 52.
I'm good with 50. Everything's fine.
I mean, I could get really philosophical and go post-U.S. and say that states are
I think there needs to be
obsolete.
two states. Yeah,
yeah,
One-
I don't
for
think
the-
we want that.
one for the nice people and one for the
the bad men.
yeah. I don't really know.
It could be their world. They could have their own world.
I'm just saying, at least D.C. and Puerto Rico should probably have some sort of voting rights in Congress. That's just my thought. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it in a little more purgy fashion.
Oh yeah, same. Oh yeah. See, Matt and I are like the nihilists of the band. You know.
Our world is on
Stylish
fire.
Next,
Okay.
the Stone Age and its consequences on modern society. Thoughts?
Was the wheel
be nowhere
developed in the
without it.
Stone Age?
I don't think so, actually.
I don't think I have enough information to answer. I'm not as well studied on the Stone Age as I am about 1600 era composers.
Do you need to know anything about Tchaikovsky? He can help you.
Cannons on
that's
stage,
18th
baby.
Are we? Yeah. No, I was gonna get.
I mean,
I was gonna get cynical again.
it could either be it helped us get to where we are, or it could be it helped us get to where we are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I thought it was like
Well, look,
we're in the Stone Age right now. So I don't
without
know.
the Stone Age, we wouldn't have music. So I'm going to go with it had ultimately a positive effect on modern society, all of the failures of modern society aside.
Yes.
Okay.
That got real heavy for a minute. Sorry, guys.
A little bit fun one. Favorite letter?
S.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the first one that came to mind.
T.
I have a favorite number.
T is like my like, you know, if I'm playing like Wheel of Fortune or anything, because you know
Yeah.
you always play Wheel of Fortune. T is always my
Yeah.
my starting letter. So I'm gonna say T.
F. It's what all the fun letters start with. Fun words start with.
I got to go with S, honestly. I'm with TJ on that one.
Now, surprise, you didn't say E, R, and I.
Nope.
Nope.
Wow. Really surprising.
Are you going to tell our
noticed-
therapists on us?
Now, least favorite letter?
E, R, and I.
Y?
Q.
Yeah, that's a good one.
X. I mean,
He's going to give it to you.
That letter has no business starting the word xylophone.
Or really any of the words except for X-ray.
Right. I mean,
Xerox.
Yeah.
like you're not fooling anyone. You're a Z that got like a little tipsy at some point and rearranged like the lines. I don't know.
That's because
Anyway.
English language is basically just like 19 different languages.
Man, leave the
Club
letters
together at
alone.
night. Yeah.
They can be whatever. I don't care.
Sorry,
X can
sorry,
exist,
Shrey.
man.
Yeah.
Next question. Stairway to Heaven or Smoke on the Water?
Yes.
Stairway all day. I knew you were gonna have a hard time with this one.
I don't really like Smoke on the Water, but I also don't really like Stairway to Heaven anymore. So
Yeah.
I guess Stairway, because it's at least I like Jimmy Page's guitar tone more than Richie Blackmore. Stairway.
Just for the sake of being different, I'm gonna say Smoke on the Water because I feel like I hear it less when I walk and do like a guitar center, you know what I mean? Which is very rare nowadays.
So
But
that's the first one you hear. What are you talking about?
Yeah, gun to head, it's Stairway, but it's toss up. They're both good.
All right. Next, I'm going to play a public service announcement, and it's going to be a minute, so it's defeating a little bit of the speed round, but you're going to give me your thoughts afterwards.
ooh, okay.
Sassy! Sassy!
This week's episode, Danger at the Old Well.
Last one to the old well's a rotten egg. Haha, I win. Whoa! Ah! Sassy! Johnny fell down the well. I'm wet. What, Sassy? You know where Mr. Gunderson keeps his rope? Go get it, girl. What? You'd rather use this time to set people straight about shelter pet adoption? I'm cold. People shouldn't be afraid to adopt from a shelter? Because shelter pets are screened for sound health and temperament? I'm wet and cold. Sassy, what about Johnny? What? Let Johnny sit in the well until he learns to be more self-reliant? Sassy! What'd he say?
Sassy is brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org. Remember, adopt.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
A plus.
Yep.
Sassy's more knowledgeable than
15 out of 10
most
actually.
humans.
It really pulled me in on the end too.
I'm a big shelter proponent.
Yeah.
Adopt, don't buy.
I'm a big leave kids in the well.
Let it be self-reliant. Yeah.
Couldn't say that with a straight face.
Now, next, what radio station are listeners currently listening to?
WRPI, Troy, New York.
I'm not going to differ from that because that is actually factually correct.
This is all true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Do you want to know what your final score is?
I don't know, do we?
Yes, we do.
I mean,
6.
6.
Cool.
Good.
I'll take it. Do we need 7?
That's my fourth favorite number is 6. So
You needed 6.
all right.
100.
600.
That sounds about right.
All right.
It's fair.
So was this? We lost cool points in life. Is that?
Everything's fine.
Okay.
No, this is like, who's that line anyways?
Whose line is it anyway?
points.
Yeah,
the
the
points
The
don't
points don't
matter.
matter.
Points don't matter.
It's fine.
Yeah.
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 All right. That's it for us right now, except this is recording. So if you guys would like to give us a little station identification for us to play on our automation, you can do that now.
Absolutely. Matt has a very good radio voice. He's done this before, so.
This is E.R.I.E, and you're listening to WRPI, Troy, New York.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for listening in on this. And thank you so much to E.R.I.E for being here. Remember, where are you guys performing?
Lost and Found tonight.
Lost
out
and
in,
Found tonight, yeah.
Yep.
Doors are at 8:30. Low dose show. Come hang.
All right. Thank you all, and enjoy the automation in the meantime.
Trade, thank you so much.
Shade.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.